Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 301 of Sold with Updike Pugh.
I'm Jeff Updike.
I'm Weston Pugh, and today we're going to take a look at a condo down at 1505 Elm in the heart of downtown.
And in our second segment today, we are going to talk about, have Dallas prices started to fall yet?
That's a really good question, Jeff. Sounds like bait click.
You can click bait?
That too. So, tour happened on Tuesday. We like to tour for our clients. And I decided to play a little game. It's called Funny, Fail, or Fancy. And we're going to see if Jeff can figure out which one is which. Okay. So I took pictures. Zach, throw a first picture up here, and we're going to see if he knows which one this is. What is that? It is, let me give you this scenario. This is a $3.5 million home, Preston Hollow. It is master bathroom. And this is a beautiful Carrera tile surround. Is this funny, fancy, or fail?
Not funny.
Or are you going to do it like that, eh?
Might be kind of fancy, but I think it's more of a fail because I think that in a $3.5 million home, that commode needs to be inside a closet or a room itself.
Ding, 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 ding. This is correct. This toilet is basically the first thing that you see when you walk into the bathroom. I had to do a double take when I walked in there. I thought I missed the door. So I thought, okay, yeah, gorgeous house. Fail. Epic fail. So next one, Zach. All right. So you know it's not fail.
I know it's not fail. It's not funny, so that's got to be fancy.
So
that looks like a really fancy wallpaper.
So like a utility room where there's a desk or anything like that. It was just, they decided that the washer and dryer and the folding and the sink and the dog washer needed to have wallpaper. I loved it.
I think it's pretty cool. That looks like a lot like the wallpaper you used to have in your condo.
You're sweet, and you're right.
It does.
All right, so we know what the last one's going to be. Take a look at this picture. I thought press for champagne. Who doesn't need this in their house? I just thought it was really cute.
Where is that in the house?
Oh, really? You're going to ask? Okay. Where do you think this is? Because I will tell you where I think it should have been.
So it could be, let's see. It could be in the wet bar.
Okay.
Could be in the closet with the commode.
Jeff, you're correct.
What?
Enough of this. Let us look at what is happening in Market Watch because, as you know, it has warmed up a lot here in Dallas.
The temperature is warm and the market is warming up with it.
I like it. I like this market. I don't think that it's overheated. I think that we're on track for what we'll see for the rest of the year, given there's nothing large that comes out globally. If it's a tariff or whatnot, that might be a game changer. But you and I were talking about it, the fact that when we look at the active listings at 634, it doesn't, the rest of the categories, the sold depending and the option period, aren't greatly outpacing this. When they do, it makes me nervous. And that's what I don't like when it gets too hot.
And I like how interest rates have come down just a bit. You know, we're kind of seeing that quarter point reduction in the Fed rate that happened 4 months ago.
Finally shows up.
And
in our newsletter, we talked about this. We talked about this is where we thought that, like Lawrence Un and some of the other bankers that we cited in the newsletter talked about how this is where they feel like rates will be, somewhere between 6 and 7. And I think we're going to see a strong 6.5, and it will just hold.
I would agree. Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Really good numbers. We'll have better numbers for you next week, too, I'll bet.
Cross your finger. Well, yeah, because we're moving into more of the week. So it's good. Good.
So the home we're going to talk about this week is at 1505 Elm Street, and this is in the 1505 Elm Street condos. This is a building that was, I believe at one time, the Dallas National Bank, built as the Dallas National Bank. It is 15 stories tall. It is one of the smaller condominium complexes downtown, but it is, I think, one of the nicer ones downtown. And from a location perspective, it's great. I mean, you talk about, I'll bet this has the 99 points on the walkability scale.
Easily. And it's easy for commuting. So let's just hit commuting real quick. You need to take the trolley and go into Uptown, or if you want to go into Bishop's Art District, you have access to that. You also have the DART rail that can take you all the way north on 75 or all the way to DFW Airport. If you get in your car or an Uber, truck over to Love Field. You will not realize how spoiled you are. You're probably a 17-minute drive, depending on what time you leave. And DFW Airport for your international flights are probably right at 35, depending on traffic as well. But this is a super easy location for living. If you work downtown, this is ground zero for a lot of that.
And it's, one of the things that I like about this building is it is easy in and out of downtown itself, because you come in on Ackerd. The entry to the valet is on Ackerd, so you come in on Ackerd,
right,
off of Woodall Rogers from Uptown, wherever you are, and then you just jump over one block when you're leaving. You turn to the west on Elm, and then you can either take Elm Street and go all the way out across the Trinity River, catch I-35. It's a really, I think, easy in and out of the. You remember how difficult the first apartment that you lived in
on Jackson in our urban building
was to get in and out of?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, this is like the antithesis of that.
So this is the opposite, because you're going to bring that. So I know this is not the order that we typically do it in. The valet on this building is perfectly designed, because you pull in off the street, and even if there's other people there dropping off, there's enough room that 3 to 4 cars can pull in.
It's
easily
6, 8, at least 10.
And this gives you a way to get off the street. The other thing too is, by being off the street, if it's snowing, if it's raining, if it's whatever, you're not exposed to the elements. And then they take your car away, and it's wonderful. So this is you're right, a great point.
Yeah, 24-hour valet, which they have a security gate that they lower at night on the front. But if you're coming in at 2 a.m., you pull up and honk, and up the gate goes. They are there watching cars and watching for people coming and going. And
we're not going to talk about it on this, but the National opened right across the street, and some really great restaurants and whatnot there. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the AT&T Discovery Center. This is also just a walk outside. The reason why we wanted to hit this up is because this is really what has become a cornerstone for downtown. It's brought by AT&T. They've brought in a lot of elements that we see in Chicago's Millennial Park, whether it's the food court or some of these structural images, even the golden statue that they have here. These are all elements that I feel like you would run into in New York, or, like I said, Chicago. And it adds that big city vibe to downtown Dallas.
And they've got a really cool food hall here that's actually looking into the front doors of the food hall. And they have selected probably 20 different, well, let me say 15 well-known local restaurants that have brought a food hall style here. And then they've got probably half a dozen that are not well-known local places that have just opened up in here. And it's a great cross-section of food and price and everything.
And even there's like little bars across the street. Rodeo Bar is just down there. So a lot of great things to do in and around this area.
Cowboy Chow.
I haven't been to that one yet.
One of the great things that is going to be starting, this is coming up later in the month, is on March 21st, they're going to have their first movie on the lawn, and it is wicked.
Shocking. That'd be good. That's smart.
It's going to be a sing-along. It's going to be a friggin' sing-along. They're not advertising it that way, but it will be.
We ought to put that on the Dorothy Facebook page.
Yeah. The other thing that locals know is the Dallas World Aquarium. And this is only a few blocks away. It is within walking distance. And this is a Dallas World Aquarium that was started, I think it was 1992. And it is right at the end of the Arts District. When we call this an aquarium, it really is not just an aquarium, but a lot of birds, a lot of reptiles, a lot of amphibians, just really a really well-rounded place to go.
And it actually complements that area for science and learning, because there's so many school-aged events that happen here, both here and also at the Ross Perot Nature Museum. So one of the things that's become really popular in the area is the free parks. Free parks, I think, for Dallas took off after Clyde Warren Park.
I would agree.
I think that they showed the city how much outdoor space was needed because of the usage that it almost instantly received. And one of the things that Dallas did is they've created bookend parks there on Main Street and Commerce on either end. Both of them are really great, a little different, each one of them. But they've kind of begun this backfilling of natural green space.
Mm-hmm.
And as more and more residents come into downtown, I think that this is great for both us to get out and just stretch, but it's also a really nice place to have a four-legged friend take
I would
walk.
agree. When when you and I worked downtown and we had our office on Ross Avenue, there were only about 3,000 people that lived downtown.
I was one of them.
And there are now, I think there are 30,000 plus people that live downtown.
When I used to live downtown, I used to ride my mountain bike downtown through downtown, and I would be like one of 6 people on the street at that time. It was really, it's
Very
cool
different than
and different at the same time.
So let's talk about our unit specifically. So this is 1505 Elm Street, number 1207. This is a 1-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,324 square foot open floor plan that is priced at $230,000.
This is a really great floor plan because of the openness that it provides, nice natural light. Also, one of the great things about being on the 12th floor is that it has a lot less of the noise from the street, but also has really great views.
And this is on the windows open to the northern side of the, think about that. They open to the eastern side of the building. Eastern side of the building. And so you get really good morning light, but you don't have to deal with all that really hot sun.
As you can see, they've already fit and finished the kitchen with stainless steel appliances, including a beverage refrigerator as well. Nice dark granite countertops. I like the fact that it opens up back and forth to this area. If this building were in any other location, it would be probably 3 times more. Think about it if it was on Knox Henderson. One of the great things too is the flexibility. I know that COVID is one of those things that we are all still reeling from, but this is great for a home office as well.
And this is the master closet, and you can see how big this is. They've done the container store, organized shelving in it. Gives you a lot of extra storage space, and the master bath is beautiful. Double sink, vanity, granite countertops. They do have a separate tub and separate shower stall, and that is the big walk-in closet door at the end there that you see.
One of the things that this building really has, apart from other buildings, is the number of amenities that it has. So whether it's the pool, they have a gym, Jeff, that I am so impressed by. The equipment is brand new, and you would not need a gym membership working out there. You would not.
And they also have a movie room down on the basement level also that will seat probably 25 people. And you can reserve this room, go down with your iPhone and play movies there.
One of the things that I liked about this is that they also have a wine cellar here for your private collection and a dining room table in that. So if you wanted to have a themed Moroccan wine night, this is the place to be.
So 1505 Elm Street, unit number 1207, is a 1-bedroom, 2 full, 1 half bath. Does have valet parking. You have 1 valet spot full-time and up to 5 guests at one time. The building was built in 1957, but redone back in the 1990s. 1,324 square feet, and the unit is priced at $230,000.
So what we like to do is share the link with you. So click on that link. If this is something that you, a friend, or a family member would like to take a look at, please let us know. And with that, we'll be right back.
Did you know there are a lot of ways you can keep up with us? For starters, every Wednesday at noon, we host Sold with Updike Pugh, live from our Facebook and YouTube channels. Our show is dedicated to featuring some of the best homes in the Dallas market and about sharing timely information about market trends. But don't worry if you miss the show, because you can always listen to them on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify.
Still want more? Follow us on Instagram
where you get a first-hand look at what it's like to be a realtor. And it's not always previewing homes for clients or getting them ready to go live in MLS. Lastly, visit our website and you'll be able to create a custom home search tailored specifically to your wants and needs that's timely and accurate. Whether it's square foot, location, or the neighborhood, we have you covered.
If you'd like to know how much your home is worth, we can help with that too. Just visit homeprice.fyi, enter a few pieces of information like your home address, and we'll email you a price. When you're ready to talk real estate, you can reach us online, by phone, or by text at 214-377-2223.
And remember, we want to be realtors for life.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second segment, episode 301, Sold with Updike Pugh. I'm Jeff Updike.
I'm Weston Pugh, and today we wanted to ask the question, are Dallas home prices finally beginning to come down?
And I'm going to say it's a yes and a no.
It is a yes and a no, and it's based, today we're going to talk about what type. We're not going to factor in location because location is a whole nother thing. Another thing would be price point. Mm-hmm. Today we're talking about the actual type of home. When we say type, we're talking about condos, townhomes, and single family homes because they are all so different in the way that they are affected by economic influences.
I mean, we're seeing, we were talking today at lunch about a couple of different condos that we've seen come on the market, and they've come on at prices that we think are reasonable, right, and in line with what things were selling for 3 or 4 months ago, and those condos are really having no activity on them.
And it's interesting because the pricing stability on these condos can really be influenced by, ownership structure, how is that situated, HOA regulations, that maintenance schedule and responsibilities is a lot greater on the homeowner versus on a single family, on a condo or a townhome, but also then market demand, because are we urban or are we suburban on these things?
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to understand the type of ownership that they're getting, because it does influence the stability or instability of certain price markets up and down.
Absolutely. So one of the things that condos we see that really impact them greater would be your HOAs, because there's so many fees and rules that are involved with that. So a condo that has a real high price per square foot, because that's what we look at. We take the monthly and divide it by the price or the square foot, and that's what we get. And that's how you look at that. The higher that those go, they can actually, we say, scare off buyers. But I think now, because they have become so high, that we see even lenders that when they realize that they've got a client that's looking at a condo or townhome, will usually factor in around $500 to $600 to make sure that the DTI doesn't fall apart.
And you also have to be concerned about condos are really good places for investors. A lot of condo associations have begun limiting the percentage of ownership of investors, because it affects the ability to get a conventional loan. You've got to have at least 70% owner occupancy in a community to get that 5% down conventional loan. And lenders do that because if a complex has a very large investor volume and then all those investors sell at one time, that price is going to drop pretty dramatically, and these lenders are the ones that are still on the hook.
So the other thing too that you're going to look at when you look at a condo is like the market liquidity and resale challenges, because when we talk about that, we're talking about the demand and how it's more people would rather have a single family home than a condo. And because of that restricted demand, a lot of times we also have to take into consideration that when economic times get tight, that smallest pool, that first buyer is the one that is also affected. Hence, when they're affected, it affects the first type of property they buy, which would typically be a condo.
So condos are more stable when they're located in high demand urban areas with limited land availability, but they can also be susceptible to HOA mismanagement, higher assessments, higher investor turnover, and they're still a great starting point for many people, but just go in with your eyes wide open.
So if we take and switch gears and we go condos here, townhomes here and then single families. We're going to talk about the townhome now. And townhome it's the hybrid almost because they are stacked more in an urban area. But what makes the greatest difference is when the developer goes to the city and plots out that land, that the land below the house belongs to the homeowner versus being a common percentage of ownership.
Right.
And because of that, they finance like a single family, even to the point where we write them on a single family contract. So it makes a big difference from that financing standpoint.
Yeah. Townhomes traditionally have lower HOA fees. Like one of the townhomes that we have under contract right now, their HOA fees are $1,300 a year.
Yeah.
And this is a 1,500 square foot home.
Because HOAs are dependent upon a number of amenities that are shown. And just like when we talked about 1505 Elm in the first half, there's a lot of amenities. Townhomes don't always have those amenities because they're not built so vertical, stacking on top of each other. Supply and demand, I would say that we see probably they trade, again, second to single family homes because more people can look at them and you can see people and families actually living in those versus just a single or a couple.
So their supply and demand issue is really an interesting, is that what you just talked about? Yeah, that's what I thought. So they're also rental appeal because they are looked at from a renter perspective of wanting to be more in a single family home. So you have a larger pool of people that want to rent them. Pros are they're more resilient than condos, especially in the urban core neighborhoods. The downside is they can be overbuilt and you can see a short-term price depression because townhomes are traditionally built in waves.
I would agree with that. But I would say that when we look at condos versus townhomes in Dallas, I feel like the townhomes are built so much more than the condos. Because I feel like condos here are when they take a building and they retrofit it, like Metropolitan or 1505 Elm. Those all had lice before they became condos.
True. And that was also in an era where Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac didn't have all these regulations on condos. That kind of came up to fruition about the time that all that conversion and new construction of condos started taking place. Lenders didn't want the exposure.
No, not after 8 and 9, they sure as heck didn't. So now let's step into what the single family homes look like. And this is really going to be your most stable option, even though, nothing is a guarantee. But the appreciation of land is key. And one of the first things I ever heard when I moved to Dallas was nothing appreciates like dirt. And there is a true statement in that because how many times have we seen someone own a condo and 5 years later, yes, they're making money on it when they sell it. But when we compare that to someone who spent a little bit more money and bought a house, and their return on investment is completely different. That being said, owning a house or owning anything is one of the first steps into generational wealth.
Yeah. And the single family home demand pool is bigger. I mean, it's just a wider audience. It is the largest type of home that sells out there. And there's less HOA influence. Many of the newer neighborhoods, especially as you get into the suburban markets, have HOAs, but they seem to have less impact on the values of the properties because they're not as the HOA fees are not as onerous in those. They're traditionally maintaining the park, or they might be mowing the little mini front yard.
But here's one thing: is that condos and townhomes will always have an HOA. Single family homes don't always have HOAs.
That is very true.
So you're putting more of your money into your principal, interest, and taxes versus when you do the condo. Economic resilience, this is a great one because they're more stable. If you're in the right school zone, if you're in the right zip code, if you're on the right side of the highway, these are things that actually will slow down the economic shifts that really can zing those condos that are smaller and also some of the smaller townhomes.
So how does this play out in Dallas? Well, we've got urban versus the suburban markets, and condos tend to be more volatile in Dallas because they're still a smaller portion of the market. Townhomes are gaining popularity, but single-family homes are definitely the gold standard for price stability.
So when we look at market trends from 23 to 24, we're going to say that condo prices in some areas have stagnated due to the HOA hikes and fees and some of the lending restrictions. But now townhomes are holding steady, especially while in walkable neighborhoods. Case in point, State Thomas.
Single-family homes still remain high in demand, and we continue to see the price appreciation on single-family homes. Still, even in our more repressed market now, with interest rates being so high, we're still seeing that 3 to 5% appreciation annually on single-family homes, where we're not seeing that on condos regularly.
Condos are a little bit more slow burn. They are long hold. Real estate, just rule of thumb, is a long hold. The longer you hold it, the more that it's worth. Again, we did not take into consideration size. We didn't take into consideration schools. We didn't take into consideration a couple of other key elements. Those also will have effects on this.
So hopefully this has given you a good description of where we are seeing a little bit of price, instability in the Dallas market. And if there's any specific neighborhoods or any specific areas you want us to talk about, just put it down in the comments. We'll be happy to respond.
And just remember, we want to be realtors for life.
When you're ready to talk real estate, you can reach us online, by phone, or by text at 214-377-2223.
And remember, we want to be realtors for life.